These bold, colorful faces are the work of Bobby G., an artist who lives on New York's Lower East Side. In his studio on Rivington Street, Bobby G. painted these pictures which fall squarely in the time-honored academic tradition of heroic portraiture. His subjects are the kids of his neighborhood, children and adolescents struggling to survive in a ghetto, where many of the leading citizens are drug dealers. Bobby's portraits are motivated by his profound sense of the artist's moral and social responsibility. His subjects, dressed in street fashion, with gold chains and cut-off T-shirts, stand insistently against solid color backgrounds. Bobby G. feels it is his mission to carry these powerful, eloquent images into the museums and homes of the wealthy and powerful. The poses in portraits are drawn mostly from photographs Bobby makes of neighborhood youth. The young men and women of Rivington Street stand for their portraits with the stolid self-assurance of those who know where they're coming from. These are portrait paintings of commanding dignity, done with an astute painterly and photographic intelligence. In an interview, Bobby G.'s dealer talks about the artist and his work.
I like the way that they work as environments. People walk in and there's already people in the gallery with these very strident looks on their faces, and some of these are twice the size of life, so it's really hard to avoid them. Both formally and symbolically, it has a lot maybe to do with somebody like Paul Gauguin, who used one color per shape and introduced, along with Van Gogh and others, the idea of a broad outline. In Bobby's case, the heavy outline connotes an involvement with current technology. The silver lines, it's aluminum paint, means the artist wants these to look as though they were generated by a computer screen or video. The drips result from an inherent quality in that aluminum paint. It's very thin, and even if the artist wanted to do these outlines without drips, it would be hard to avoid. But like many happy accidents, like most happenstance things, the drips actually have a symbolic function. In one of the pictures, there's a man with his hands stretched awkwardly downward, and with the drips, it gives an emotional strain, almost the sense of martyrdom. I think one of the most important things about Bobby's work is that these are not just portraits of Lower East Side street hangers out. They're very generalized and idealized, and they function on a symbolic level that reaches back anywhere. That girl holding the ice cream cone refers both maybe to the Statue of Liberty and to an Egyptian fertility goddess. The man with his arms clenched like this looks like some kind of titan. They're very symbolic and very, there's a lot of art history in these pieces, besides functioning as social realism, addressing themselves to a class of people that don't normally appear on TV. The response has been excellent, and from a varied group of people. School kids come in here and are really turned on by them because they're so readable. You know, the imagery is just so easy to understand, and it's about, you know, the imagery is children and adolescents. So the younger people that have been in here have enjoyed it a lot. Critics have liked it. Response in general has been very favorable. They're highly charged works and elicit a lot of response.
On an abandoned building in New York's Lower East Side, Bobby G. painted this large mural. It is here that Art New York talks with Bobby G. about his work.
Kids that pose for this wall and for the paintings I've done live about a block from here on Suffolk Street and Rivington Street and Norfolk Street. And I've had a continuing relationship with them. I've done video projects with them. We've done drawing parties. I know them. Some of them have actually robbed me. We've discussed life in general, art, and the neighborhood specifically. And then in around '81, I decided that although the work I was doing is very valuable, I gained an incredible insight into the specifics of this neighborhood and what life was about and what art was about. I wasn't really communicating it to the art world in general. So then in '81 I was invited into a show at Artist Space, and I made my first oil paintings for that show. And at that time I was actually doing black and white paintings from stills from the videotapes I had been making with these kids and another group of kids in Jamaica, Queens, where I had worked in a community video project.
I see.
So for a year I worked in black and white. And then after a year's time, it was very monastic in a way. It was difficult. It focused on some of the more difficult issues of low-income minority life in this country. And I decided I wanted to make something a little more exuberant. I wanted to project dignity and power and potential energy and things like that. So also, I had a lot, my background was video. And I thought that electronic communication was really something to be used as a metaphor in painting. So one day I got this idea. I thought I would start using colors, really bright, pure, strong colors, primary colors and secondary colors. And at the same time I thought, well, I can illuminate the lines of the drawing as if it were electronically generated on a computer terminal or something. When I make a painting, or even in this wall, the figure doesn't come out looking exactly like the kid who had posed for it, because there's some sort of more complex, sort of psycho-emotive presence that goes on. And I find often that I'm actually painting my own state of being in one way or another, or my own emotional contradictions, or maybe a cultural contradiction. It's almost a transference process through these kids. The image was really, really important because this is like a product of our culture. It's a group of people that don't have a strong economic base, they don't have a political representation, but nevertheless, they're what our culture is producing. In order to understand culture more wholly, we have to deal with the image that you see here. And the image I'm dealing with in the painting. So basically, I could be painting soup cans. Right. But I'm painting people. It's more social. This is the 80s and not the 60s.